Hello folks, welcome to the Landtimber stream. It's good to have you tonight. It is Tuesday night and we're getting work done. We're going to talk a little bit about HTTP host headers. We're going to talk a little bit about multicast and a couple other things. So thanks for joining everybody who's here. Hope you're having a good week so far. Hey, there's mentors. Hope your internet does not get flaky with these scattered thunderstorms they land. Get pretty windy over here at Nasty. Yeah, so mentors, I wanted to ask you and any other Floridians that are in the chat, hope that, everything is going okay. I don't know where you are in the path of the storm. I think Tampa is going to miss the heaviest of the storm, but yeah, it is already raining a good bit, and I'm sure it's going to be raining a lot more tomorrow as the winds pick up from Hurricane Michael. So anyway, hope everyone's safe. And thanks for checking in, mentors. Anyone else? Good to have you here tonight. We're going to be brief because today was a very busy day for my day job. My day job went beyond just the day. So, but there's some cool things that I actually got to dig into a little bit that I'll share. Yeah, so we got 33 days to go for the written. And let's talk a little bit about HTTP headers. Many of you may or may not know that I'm heavily, or have been at least in the past, significantly involved with load balancers and F5. And sometimes, design or support issues that come related to that and traffic flows. And it often involves working with developers, coders, and people who are designing the architecture for a particular application. And, people want to design for DR, they want to design for high availability, they want to design for load testing and, specific loads. And the load balancer is very heavily integrated with that, right? Even in the cloud, there are a lot of methods, for example, in Azure to do load balancing and higher, resiliency. That includes, there are Azure load balancers, of course, that you can deploy that are native to Azure. You can also deploy F5s in Azure or pick flavor X, and you can deploy it in Azure, right? But yeah, it's very important. So sometimes you get into some interesting things. I have a link down here to an RFC about the forward HTTP extension. And sometimes it gets tricky with, going through when HTTP traffic, which a lot of our applications, let's admit it these days, a lot of our applications these days are using HTTP or generally HTTPS, right? And we're talking about URIs and restful calls, typically. So oftentimes you have to be concerned, is this traffic, is session affinity required, right? So, is the application essentially stateful or stateless connections? That's very important. But you also get into manipulation sometimes of these host headers that you have with HTTP traffic. And this is the RFC for it. There's actually a lot of RFCs around HTTP in general. And HTTP is a very, it's a fascinating protocol. I first really dove into it to some extent when I was reading Internet Working TCP/IP Volume 1. And it talked about kind of how HTTP operates and how it does authentication, how it does its own sort of error checking. It has different capabilities there, compression. HTTP protocol can do a lot, right? There's a lot of functionality built in there, networking functionality included. And part of that is when you have a proxy or a load balancer, for example, that is in between your traffic and the client, which most oftentimes you do, there are ways to sort of redirect traffic and still kind of know how traffic should return. And that is where some of these parameters come in. If you look, for example, at forwarded by, forwarded for, forwarded host, forwarded protocol, when you do redirection or things like that, there are ways to sort of let HTTP know both on the server end and on the client end of what is happening so that traffic can get where it needs to go. That's just very generic terms, right? I was trying to find a PCAP here before stream I have some captures, but I can't really show those. But if we just get an HP, let's just do a general HTTP cap. Here's sample captures. Here we go. Source of capture files. Let's see. HTTP, of course, Google. CMP and HTTP. V6 HTTP. That's cool. You know, I would love one day to just look at PCAPs here on the Wireshark sample captures page. Wouldn't you? Like if time was, if we had the luxury of time, I would just love to go through here and just look at all these PCAPs. I mean, that's literally as geeky as I could definitely be that geeky. So there's several in here. I don't think this is going to have, for example, what I want, but you know, we'll take a look anyway and see. Just a real simple HTTP cap. This is a challenge too these days, folks, because as many of you may know, with the advent of SSL, it's getting harder and harder to see some of this information in here. Okay, so there aren't any modified headers, HTTP headers here. You could have, for example, what Microsoft does with the application gateway service, for example, is it was insert 3 different HTTP forward headers here that is talking about it in the RFC. It'll say this was, for example, you can do a redirect. It's very common to do a redirect from 80 to 443. Well, if that's important, that could be important somewhere. Or you may want to just track that statistic, right? How many people are coming in HTTP? An application gateway or an F5 could insert HTTP, you know, forwarded from port. Forwarded port, you know, original port was 80. Forwarded to 443. That can be encoded here in the HTTP traffic. So pretty cool stuff. But let's get back to that. Let's see. I just went from a gaming live stream to live stream on my network. Only a bit of difference. That's true, man. This is definitely, you know, it's funny, Jimmy. Like I've watched so many hours of Twitch. I would love to actually see the statistics on that. I don't know. I know they track that. I don't know if that's available for you as an end user to see. I know some channels, they'll like track it as part of a game or reward system. But man, I've watched a lot of hours on Twitch. Now, not all of it is just me sitting there staring at the game. Usually it's in the background when I'm studying or doing something else, doing chores. But that's really kind of where I got the ideas to do, well, some of the ideas for like doing Twitch, using Twitch chat, setting up OBS and the gear. Like I've just borrowed from gaming streamers. Discord, I learned about that from watching Twitch. I did not know what that was when I first heard about it on Twitch. I'm like, what is it? What are they talking about? Then everybody really started using it, and that's where I learned that Discord is actually really good at audio chat. Because if gamers rely on it, that's something pretty much you can figure out. Oh, we got some cheers. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Thank you for those 100 bits. I appreciate that. You are now going to be the top cheerer. So thank you so much for that support. I appreciate it, my friend, and thanks for tuning in to the channel. You obviously know a little bit about Twitch if if you know what cheering is. Some people have come to Twitch, have set up Twitch accounts just because they're involved in networking and didn't really use it before. They used Slack or they used Spark or River, but because this channel was on Twitch, they're like, okay, do I need a Twitch account? Yeah, it's probably best you get one. And people have signed up and gotten on here and learned about it. And what I like about the Twitch streaming platform and Discord and all that, it is, you know, gamers are only going to use it if it's cheap and if it works well and it's has good performance, networking performance. So I'm like, okay, I need to use what the gamers are using, and it's worked out really well. Funny little story there. Mentors, yeah, watch the show, and his long weekend lab are just as fun as gaming, especially if you play along. It is, man. Like, you get drawn in. I watched show 3 different times because he labbed like all day. He went on like a 9-hour marathon lab, which is awesome. So I started out first thing in the morning, and I was there with him at night and one point during the day. And I turned it on. I was working on my own stuff, but I kept getting drawn in because I was fascinated by what he was doing. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And yeah, heck yeah, it's better than watching gaming, right? Of course. So I hope we get more streamers. So yeah, getting back to HTTP headers, again, if you're not really involved with the F5 that much, it is good to know some of this stuff for the exam, especially RESTful calls. And it's good to know RESTful API calls using HTTP. And it's good to know the different types of HTTP messages. You know, like you have GET, you have POST, you have update. Those are important to know, and those are part of the blueprint. So anyway, that's why we cover HTTP from time to time, and people work on load balancers. All right, written progress. So networklessons.com, I had a little time last night to work on, I got through one of the labs, and I started another one. So I got this built last night. I'm about to fire it up and continue working on this. This is multicast tunnel RPF failures. So we're going to illustrate how the one cool thing about GRE, right, is that it supports not just unicast, it supports multiple protocols, right? It supports IPv4, IPv6, unicast, multicast. But there are some special considerations with GRE tunnels and multicast that you have to be aware when it comes to doing an RPF check. That's one thing that's really critical. And as Renee said at the beginning of this section of networklessons.com, he said, one of the most common areas, one of the most common problem areas for multicast is the RPF check is failing getting back to the source of the traffic. So I've already done 2 lessons about that. This is the 3rd, so we're making some progress there, which is great. Interesting lab, too. I started to do I haven't done really a lot of review of PIM, PCAPs. So I've got a few of those, and I'm looking forward to delving into PIM a little bit. That's the next section. I may finish this lab tonight, hopefully, and then get into PIM. So that's my next section is PIM dense, PIM sparse dense, PIM auto RP. Really weak area for me. So I'm excited about digging into this some more. And it's important for the exams. So yeah, the rescheduling, I got a message from Dude for Him. I'm going to try to sync up with him on maybe working together some more. I'm going to do that tonight. And then maybe rescheduling. We'll see. Oh, he's here. Yeah. Dude for Him, you sent me a message yesterday. I saw it, I think, first thing this morning. You sent me a DM. And then it went off my list here. Okay, it is there. All right. Yeah, sorry I haven't answered that yet. I'll check it today. Speaking of the devil. Yeah, man. So got your Twitter too. Yeah, got sub there. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. This will probably involve a reschedule. Right now I'm scheduled for November, whatever 33. I think it's November 12th. So I'll probably reschedule due to the family responsibilities I have coming up and just the pace I'm on right now. So yeah, I'll hit you up on that. Some trivia for tonight. Let's just talk briefly. I got 3 meat chunks and then the trivia. The trivia, identify these LISP components. So LISP is it is not part, as far as I know, of the lab exam blueprint. It is part of the written exam blueprint. So LISP is important to know some of the basics. So I'm going to try to go through these. These are all in my written exam memory drill sheet. So you can look up some more detail there, of course. But in terms of these different acronyms, see if you know these. There's endpoint identifier, there's routing, locator, mapping resolver, mapping server, ITR, DTR. Oh shoot. This is where I this is what I need to study more, is these two roles, the ITR and the ETR. But essentially you have endpoint identifiers is typically where you're trying to map to. Proxy, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here, folks. It was not easy to find good information on LISP, by the way, when I was studying prior to the other attempts on the written. I finally found a pretty decent video. Ingress tunnel router, that's right. Ingress tunnel router. So obviously I need to do some more work on this. And egress tunnel router. I need to see if network, you know, I have not checked yet to see if Network Lessons has this covered. If he doesn't, then I'm going to request it. With networklessons.com, you actually get, notice he has a video on this lab here, but usually it's once a week, new lessons are put out. Let me see if he has a lesson on Lisp. Please say he does. Oh, he's got EIJ over the top. That's good. That kind of goes hand in hand with Lisp encapsulation. Okay. And Lisp can be used in a number of different sort of deployments that I've read about. But EIG over the top protocol is, yeah, so it is covered in here. Locator identifier separation protocol. Yeah, Lisp for the data plane, EIGRP for the control plane. Oh, cool. So it looks like there's some good information in there. Plus, folks, what I really like about networklessons.com, and again, I'm not affiliated with anybody, folks. I'm not affiliated with networklessons.com. I'm not affiliated with Eve. I'm not affiliated with GNS3, anybody. I'm just a dude out here trying to get a cert. So what I'm telling you is my honest opinion. And what's really cool about this product is the fact that you can go into the forum. These are some forum replies, but oftentimes if you go into the community forum, a lot of the questions that you were afraid to ask, someone else has already asked them. And if not, you can also ask and get an answer sometimes. So that's one really great thing about the product as well. Anyway, this is what these mean. And if you look in the sheet, I think there's a little bit of additional information in here. Let me go to the answers page here. Yeah, so EID is the end hosts that you're trying to reach. And routing locators are the routing device names. These are namespaces. Mapping resolver, this maps requests and forwards them to the mapping servers. And then there's some good drawings out here, actually. But the mapping server has a mapping database of the EIDs, RLOCs, and all that. Then you have internal packets forwarded externally, and you know, which side of the tunnel are we talking about? Because you can have a Lisp and a tunnel on one side and not the other, right? It's really interesting protocol that I don't understand enough to explain yet. So I definitely need to cover that some more before I take the exam again. So the meat chunks of the day. This one I've already mentioned. We have a Cisco Live Survival Guide, which came to my attention today on Twitter, I think. And I agree with lots of what's said there. Like, it's one of the best sort of bulleted lists of things that you would need to do to be prepared for Cisco Live. And this is actually one of our Discord server members, Pirate Move, put in a really cool cheat sheet on the blog, on their blog, and I was so appreciative because it has IPv6 on here. Also, thank you very much, Pirate Move. So yeah, check it out. It's got redirect codes, source quench. This is good to know. What does source quench do? We should cover that as a trivia. A lot of a number of these are sort of deprecated in their usage. They're still standards, but they're sort of obsoleted, but they're still here, and doesn't hurt to know what they are. So definitely recommend that. And that's all we got for today, folks. We're going to keep grinding. It is day 302, 33 to go. I will see you folks in the Discord server. I'll see you on Twitter. I'll see you on Instagram. I'll see you on YouTube. I get comments. I appreciate the community comments on YouTube when I upload the videos. I generally tend to get comments here and there. Thanks very much. And I get questions. I'm happy to field questions as well. I get a lot of questions about technical questions on Instagram, believe it or not, because there's a lot of screenshots. And we have some really good discussions there. So follow me on those platforms if you're not already. Thanks again for the cheer. Appreciate that, Jimmy. And thanks for all the support of the subs and the followers and the chatters. You can follow me here on Twitch if you're not already. And if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you probably know that you get one free Twitch Prime subscription that you can use and renew once a month. If you got that laying around, we're happy to let you, use that here as well. Thanks so much, folks. Appreciate all the encouragement, the energy. It's still Tuesday. It's still early in the week. Let's hit it. I'll see you all back here tomorrow night in the LAN Tamer stream. Have a good night.